Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Naruto Storm. So friends, it's a request to you all to please subscribe our channel to get latest updates of our videos. So today you are watching the first episode of a new series, What If Love Life of Naruto Was Like This. So now my friend Alexander will tell you the story of episode 1.
From the day Naruto Uzumaki entered kindergarten, he was Sasuke Uchiha's best friend. Okay, so maybe it didn't happen that quickly. When they first started kindergarten, Naruto knew he wanted to get close to Sasuke. Call it the pull of fate, love at first sight, two destinies intertwined. Whatever it was, it didn't work. When they first met, they hated each other. Now, if you were a normal person, you might try to avoid the person you hate that hates you back. Unfortunately, Naruto is no such person. No matter how many fights they got into, he would still chase after the Raven. And after years of chipping away at that Uchiha exterior, the blonde found a best friend. But then, 3 years prior, the young Uzumaki had a realization. Something that threatened his very existence. Well, his friendship with Sasuke at least. He had a crush on the raven-haired boy. You could even say it was love. It was mind-blowing. When he first found out, he had avoided Sasuke for a week. And after getting beat up for it, decided maybe telling him wasn't the best thing. Sasuke would usually react with anger and spite to things, and if he had to, he could completely forget a person in just one day. So, he hid his feelings, throwing his affections at other people who showed interest. Because it would be great if he could like one of them instead. But that's never how love works. And it was getting more and more painful with each year that passed. This summer they hadn't even seen each other. Today's the day. No backing out. Naruto told himself as he stood in front of his bathroom mirror. Today was the first day of their senior year. It would be the last chance he had to be with Sasuke before everyone went off to college. You can do this. All you have to say is, I like you. It's simple. It wasn't simple. From the moment Naruto entered the school, he couldn't find 1 second alone with the Uchiha. Of course they had met up around their friends and talked about their summers, but he couldn't just confess his feeling in front of everyone. And as the classes and hours ticked by, his resolve started to break. Maybe telling him at the start of the year wasn't such a good idea. Maybe at the end of the year. That way he wouldn't have to deal with the consequences. Dude, what is up with you today? His second best friend, Kiba, asked as he sat down next to him in study hall. You've been zoning out all day. Naruto gave an awkward chuckle. Have I? I don't know. I guess there's just a lot on my mind now that we're seniors. A lot of him. The brunette wiggled an eyebrow, motioning to the Raven who just walked in. The blonde kicked his friend under the table and waved Sasuke over. Sasuke turned toward him and smirked, coming over to sit beside the blonde. What's got you so excited? Naruto was about to just shrug and laugh it off when Kiba and his big mouth decided to jump in. It's not a what, but a who. The Raven's mouth twitched at the corners, as if trying to keep the smirk on his face. Oh, has the Dobie got himself another boyfriend? Nope, this is more of a crush. He's not even going to make a move. Kiba and his big fucking mouth again. I will make a move. The blonde growled at him. When? Sasuke questioned. When, the time is right. Naruto nodded to himself as if it made so much sense. Which isn't right now. Or probably ever. I mean, you've been crushing on this guy for almost 2 years from what I know. There goes that big mouth again. 2 years? Sasuke looked shocked and then puzzled. Haven't you had boyfriends over these past 2 years? You mean distractions. Kiba laughed until the blonde gave an especially hard stomp on his foot. Ow, that hurt. Naruto just shrugged as if he didn't know what he was talking about. So, who is this guy? The blonde's attentions was back on the Raven now. Who is he? Yeah, does he go to this school? Do I know him? Yes, and yes. Okay, so who is he? Sasuke just kept pushing. He was never like this. Maybe this could be his chance. Just say it and get it over with. Do I know him well? Haha, yeah, well, you see, Sasuke, this person, it's why. Sasuke. A pink blur rushed past them and sat itself right next to Sasuke. Isn't it great that we have this class together too? That makes 3. HN. The Raven nodded to her before turning to the blonde. You were saying? Naruto forced a smile. It's not important. Just let it go, Sasuke. It's not meant to be. Oh, are we talking about a crush? Naruto, it must be so hard for you, being gay. The guys you like probably never like you back. Sakura gave the blonde a pouty look. Sakura. The raven glared at her. I'm sorry, but it's probably true. What are the chances that the guy he likes is gay, let alone likes him back? It's okay. The blonde gave a fake smile and shrugged. This was one of the things that had changed over the summer. This newfound friendship Sasuke suddenly had with Sakura. All the previous years he had ignored her, but this year they were talking and, apparently, hanging out. Sasuke might have mentioned it having something to do with his parents and their business, but the blonde still didn't like it. Alright, that's enough of that. Kakashi, their favorite teacher, finally decided to join them. I'm watching over you this study hall, so just be quiet and do whatever you want. Almost instantly everyone was on their phones. Naruto shrugged and started looking through his as well when a message popped up from Sasuke. Who is it? The blonde inwardly groaned, turning to look at the Uchiha who was looking at his phone with Sakura leaning against his shoulder. Naruto sighed and decided to ignore the message. Opening up his web browser, he started scrolling through fanfictions. He had gotten really into them as of late and needed something to distract himself. Just before he started reading one about a bet gone wrong, an ad in the corner caught his eye. 10 ways to make him your lover. Naruto swallowed and quickly glanced at the raven. He was still in the same position, but now it seemed he was glaring at his phone. Placing his phone in his pocket, the blonde raised his hand. Kakashi, can I use the bathroom? The silver-haired man just waved him off in what he assumed was a yes. He nearly sprinted to the bathroom and into the nearest stall. He couldn't chance Sasuke seeing this. Not just because he would seem totally pathetic relying on an ad to solve his love problems, but if he tried it out on the raven, he would know instantly. Naruto took out his phone and clicked on the ad. He skimmed through the 10 steps. They seemed quite straightforward, but did he really want to try this? It probably doesn't actually work. He muttered to himself, but a voice inside his head kept screaming, what if it does? Dude, you okay? The blonde jumped a mile high when he heard Kiba pounding on the stall. Yeah, what are you doing here? Naruto opened the door only to have the brunette push himself in and close it once more. You ran out of there like the place was on fire. What's going on? Nothing, I just didn't feel too well and had to leave. The blonde shrugged. Can we go back to class? Kiba slowly nodded, not believing a word of it. Dude, if this is about Sasuke, just tell the guy and get it over with. You're driving yourself crazy. I know, but I don't want to just confess and have him say no. Then try and seduce him. The brunette grinned at him. You know, there are a bunch of online articles that can give you some great ideas. Naruto looked at his phone to make sure nothing could be seen. Yeah, but do they even work? Kiba shrugged. You never know till you try. Now come on. Kakashi will eventually notice if we're away for too long. Naruto rolled his eyes. Like he'd care. When Naruto got home that day, he went straight to his computer. Opening up the ad again, he started writing down all of the steps. It wasn't a guarantee that Sasuke would like him after this, but at least it was better than just confessing, it had to be. The blonde ginned down at his notes with new ambition. He ripped out the paper and taped it up on his wall. The ping from his phone, indicating a new message, distracted him for a moment. It was from Sasuke. Are you okay? The blonde smiled before typing in, yeah, I'm fine. Within 2 seconds there was another message from the raven. Sakura isn't around now. Tell me who the guy is. Naruto frowned at the screen before smirking. I'll tell you. Just be patient. There are a few steps I need to take first. The next morning Naruto put his plan in action. Just 10 easy steps to make him yours. 10 easy steps to Sasuke's heart. The first step being eye contact. It seemed so simple but was proving to be more of a challenge than he expected. He didn't get to spend much time with Sasuke the first half of the day. Even at lunch Sakura occupied most of the raven's time. So now as Naruto sat in study hall, he repeated his mantra for the day in his head. Make eye contact. Make eye contact. Make eye. Hey, what up? The blonde jumped as Sasuke took the seat next to him. The blonde shook his head before looking the raven in the eyes. Nothing, I'm just thinking. The raven smirked. Well, don't think too hard, you might hurt yourself. Naruto gave an awkward laugh and Sasuke turned to his phone. So, the blonde craned his neck to try and look the raven in the eye once more. How've you been? Since yesterday. Fine. The raven muttered. What's with you? Nothing, just trying to make conversation. Sasuke smirked and turned his head so the blonde wasn't in that ridiculous position anymore. Okay, so who's this guy? The blonde frowned and wanted nothing more than to look away from the other. I told you yesterday. Yes, that I need to be patient. That you had some steps you needed to take. Yes, well, wait until I've done those steps and you'll find out. Why not tell me now? Because. Naruto ground out, glaring at the boy but still not breaking eye. You don't need to know yet. Why not? Sasuke was now glaring too. Kiba knows, doesn't he? Kiba's my best friend. I thought I was your best friend. Naruto blinked. Sasuke had never said outright that they were best friends. Well, we are, at least. I think that we are, best friends. I just didn't know if you thought that too. Why wouldn't I? We've been together since kindergarten. The blonde grinned so wide he thought his face would split in two. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so just tell me who this guy is. Sasuke smirked. Sasuke. Naruto groaned. I can't tell you. Why not? We're best friends, so who deserves to know more than me? It's just not the time. Hey! What are you two talking about? Kiba walked between the two with a knowing grin. Move aside. The brunette was pushed aside by Sasuke's new pink-haired friend. Sasuke, I didn't see you when you left our last class. Sasuke turned back to his phone, ignoring them all. Kiba sat beside Naruto and Sakura sat beside Sasuke. So, Kiba whispered. What were you talking about? The blonde shrugged, grinning. Nothing much. Just ordinary best friend talk. Hey, I thought I was your best friend, the brunette whined. Second best friend. The blonde corrected. Chemistry was the only other class Sasuke had with the blonde. And luckily in this class Sakura wasn't present. Unfortunately, while they had sat together yesterday, the teacher gave them assigned seats today, separating everyone from their friends. Stupid teachers. At least she let them pick whoever they wanted as lab partners so they could sit together on lab days. But this was not a lab day. The Raven was seated near the front of the class with some blonde bimbo making goo-goo eyes next to him. Turning slightly his eyes met the gaze of the blonde sitting near the back. Naruto gave a small smile and a wave. Sasuke just nodded before turning back to his desk. He was a bit upset with Naruto. And this guy he was apparently head over heels for 2 years. In the 12 years he'd known the blonde, he never once mentioned liking someone. It was always the other guys that would go running after him. And he'd always say yes and date them. It would probably be so easy to ask Naruto out. Sasuke stared at his desk. It was highly likely that if he were to tell the blonde he liked him, Naruto would date him. But he didn't want that. At least not the way the Dobi was doing it. Saying yes to whoever asked. How would he know if he actually liked him? So Sasuke couldn't confess his feelings. Not until he was sure Naruto liked him back. And not some guy. Who even was this person? Someone he knew for over 2 years. It would have to be inside their little group of friends, right? Sasuke nearly gasped. What if it's me? No, he couldn't nurture such thoughts. The chances of that, but maybe? The blonde was acting weirder than normal towards him. All day today he wouldn't stop looking at Sasuke. It was like he wanted to tell him something, but only with his eyes. It was ridiculous. Turning again he noticed the blonde's eyes still fixed on him. Naruto smiled again and gave a little nod. Sasuke turned around shaking his head. What the hell was this all about? He didn't know what to do. When the bell rang the Raven didn't wait for Naruto. He just gave the blonde a wave goodbye and headed to the parking lot. He was halfway to his car when a thought occurred to him that made him freeze. What if Naruto's checking me out? No, quit with those thoughts. But maybe that was it. This whole time the blonde had been eyeing him up. And he wasn't even trying to hide it. So he did like him? And was finally acting on his feelings? Damn it. Sasuke cursed under his breath. This could all just be his own delusions. That's all right, he reasoned with himself. We'll see how it goes tomorrow and decide on what move to make from there. After getting to school the next day, the blonde spotted Sasuke heading inside. He fixed his eyes on him in an instant. He had been a bit discouraged when he woke up, but he wasn't going to let it bother him. He was not going to let it get him down. He would continue with the eye contact thing. This had to work. This would work. As his gaze remained on the Raven his feet met an unexpected obstacle, the curb. Naruto flew forward, falling to his knees and feeling the pain as they scraped on the pavement, continuing his descent. Panicking a bit he threw his arms out in front of himself only to have them slide around with pain. He almost felt a sort of relief when his face slammed into the ground. ending any more motion. As his panic subsided, and his pain was ignored, all he could hear was laughter. As he lay on the ground he was positive that every student in the courtyard was laughing at him. And that would probably include Sasuke. Naruto just wanted to die. This was the worst thing that could have happened. Now Sasuke's going to laugh at him and call him an idiot and never want to be with someone like him, and he'll probably run off with Sakura and get married somewhere. The blonde felt tears prickle his eyes, but he forced them back. He would not give them any more reason to laugh. Except they weren't laughing anymore. At least the majority wasn't. As he lay on the pavement unsure of what was happening, he heard someone say, "Do you think that he's unconscious?" That's it. He could just pretend to be unconscious and not deal with the whole ordeal. In fact, that was what he was already doing. He was a genius. As he willed his body to stay still and his muscles to relax, he heard another voice so loud he was sure they were shouting. Naruto. It was Sasuke. The blonde was sure of it. He felt himself being rolled onto his back and onto someone's lap. Naruto. The raven's voice was quieter now, but also closer. Holy shit. Was Sasuke holding him right now? Come on Dobi, wake up. Naruto felt someone tapping his cheek lightly but willed himself not to respond, which was becoming harder as the moments passed. A part of him wanted to open his eyes and look at Sasuke's face and see the moment for himself. Himself on Sasuke's lap, the raven's arms around him. But then that moment would probably have to be shared with half of the school, considering how many students there had been out, and no doubt none of them had left. They had probably called their friends over and formed a circle, as if this was some kind of performance. All of a sudden Naruto felt himself lift off the ground. It took everything he had to keep from opening his eyes or letting his limbs spasm. His right arm was over someone's shoulder and his face was buried in their neck. There was an arm around his upper torso, holding him in place, and another under his bent knees. "Get out of the way," he heard Sasuke shout. As realization dawned on him, the blonde forced his breath to remain steady and even. Sasuke Uchiha, his best friend who he was completely in love with, was carrying him, bridal style. It was enough to make him faint, for real. When he finally thought he could relax in the other's arms, they had reached the nurse's office. He was sure it was the nurse's office because he heard Shizune gasp and say, "Put him down over there." Naruto was laid down on one of the beds that occupied the room and almost groaned when Sasuke moved away. "Is he going to be okay?" the raven had asked. "Yes, he'll be fine. You should get to class. The bell's already rung." Shizune shooed the boy out before turning to Naruto and starting to gently treat his wounds. The blonde just ignored the pain, relishing in the memory of Sasuke. The way he smelled. The way he bounced with each hurried step. The way his breath had ghosted over Naruto's ear. The heat that had radiated from him. It was hours later when Naruto made his way down the halls of the school, late for study hall. He had fallen asleep during his reminiscing and slept past most of his classes, and lunch. And now that he wasn't completely obsessing over the way Sasuke had carried him, the pain from his wounds was becoming hard to ignore. They weren't as bad as the pain made them seem. Just some scrapes on his knees and elbows. And his head was surprisingly unscathed. As he entered the library, Ebisu, the teacher on study hall duty that day, gave him a glare. "You're late." Naruto pointed to his bandages which made his wounds look very dramatic. "I was in the nurse's office. I have a notif." "Sit down." The man yelled at him. He didn't like Naruto and was more than happy to show his hate. The blonde sat down at the nearest table which he realized was unoccupied. He frowned that he was sitting alone, but then he caught sight of Sasuke, and he was looking right at him. Naruto gave him a small smile and it was a bit of a shock to his system when he Raven returned it. Not a smirk. A real-life smile, from Sasuke Uchiha. What a day today was. Sasuke turned to his desk and started writing. After a minute or two his eyes met Naruto's again and he held up a folded piece of paper. The Raven's eyes darted to the side and Naruto followed his gaze to Ebisu, who currently had his glare fixed on a sleeping Shikamaru. When he looked back at the Raven, the other nodded at his desk. Naruto looked down and saw the neatly folded paper resting in front of him. When he unfolded it he read, "What kind of an idiot nearly kills himself by tripping on the curb? Do you know how embarrassing it was to carry you all over school like a girl?" The blonde pouts and looks over at Sasuke. Just as he was about to write a response the bell rang. When he looked up, the Raven was right in front of him, raising an eyebrow. Naruto shrugged. "Bet I was the prettiest girl you've ever carried." The Raven scoffed. More like the bloodiest. The blonde sighed, standing up. Well, maybe if I fell the other way a car could have hit me and you wouldn't have had to. Ow. Naruto turned, glaring at the raven for hitting him hard on the back of the head. Sasuke was glaring back and looked so furious Naruto's face fell. Don't even joke about something like that, you idiot. The blonde's heart leapt at the words, but before he could say anything, Kiba came shoving him hard into Sasuke's chest. You complete jackass. Do you know how worried I was about you? It took a moment for the pain of flailing his arms around to fade and for Naruto to notice that he was now being held by Sasuke. Again. This was the best day ever. Unfortunately, this time it ended all too soon. The raven pushed him off his chest and tried to steady him. I'm okay. I didn't die. The blonde turned to his friend, a bit too embarrassed to look Sasuke in the eye right now. Yeah, well, that's still no excuse. Oh yeah. 'Cause I totally did that on purpose. Who doesn't want to have scraped up arms and legs? Naruto rolled his eyes. Kiba smirked before putting an arm around him and whispering in his ear. Yeah. Who doesn't want to be carried by their crush? The blonde blushed and pushed Kiba away. Shut up. What happened now? Sasuke groaned, looking at the two. Oh, nothing. The brunette gave a knowing smirk to the blonde. Before Naruto could open his mouth and start an argument, Sasuke grabbed him by the arm. We have to get to class. The blonde was dragged from the door and nearly reached Sasuke's class before remembering. Hey, we have next period together, not this one. I know. I just didn't want to hear all the bickering that would have happened. Naruto stopped and pouted. I don't bicker. The raven chuckled, turning to the blonde. No you don't. You yell. Yeah well, Kiba starts it. Sasuke rolled his eyes before flicking the blonde in the forehead. Go to class, Dobi. I'll see you next period. Naruto stood there stunned as the raven walked off into his class. Was it just his imagination, or was Sasuke's smirk just then a bit affectionate? It was working. It had to be working. Naruto grinned to himself as he sat in his trigonometry class, zoning out. The list was already showing results and he was only on number 1. Granted, it was the second day he was doing this, but that didn't matter because it was working. He was making Sasuke notice him with his eyes. It might have sounded crazy in the beginning, but now he was totally getting on board with this. Tomorrow he would move on to number 2. And who knew, maybe Sasuke would fall for him before he even finished with the list. Uzumaki. An eraser hit Naruto right in the face and he looked up at his teacher. Start paying attention or I will have you spending the rest of the day in detention. Naruto lowered his head and mumbled a, yes sir. Most of the adults, and let's face it some of the students too, hated him. They thought that he was a cursed child. Both of his parents had died, and the 2 families that had tried to adopt him got into horrible accidents. So now whenever something bad happened everyone would just blame Naruto. Uzumaki. I'm paying attention. The blonde's head snapped up. Hand me the eraser. The teacher pointed to the eraser by his feet. Naruto sighed and handed it to him. Just as he got back to his seat the bell rang and he just grabbed his bag and ran for the door. He hated when the teachers started picking on him during class. There was never anything he could do. As he sat down in chemistry class he felt a hand ruffle his hair and saw a white dust cloud rise around him. He looked up to see Sasuke and grinned. Thanks. They're not allowed to do that. The raven mumbled, but the blonde didn't want to start this again. He had no parents and not many people who would stick up for him, so those who hated him could basically do what they wanted to him, short of murder of course. After noticing it, Sasuke started talking about the rules and Naruto would always just try to brush it off and that would just anger the Uchiha and end with the 2 of them fighting. So he just got used to hiding that part of his life. Instead the blonde shrugged and looked Sasuke in the eye. I didn't know you cared so much, Teme. I carried your bloody, unconscious body to the nurse's office. I didn't do that because I thought it was fun, idiot. The raven scoffed before heading to his seat. The blonde smiled. As the class went on he didn't take his eyes off of Sasuke. The raven could feel those eyes. He decided this was as good a time as any. Turning around he looked the blonde right in the eye. Naruto's eyes widened a bit before he grinned at him. Sasuke smirked before giving the blonde a wink and turning back around. When he risked another peek moments later, he saw the blonde's head wrapped up in his arms. Naruto was as red as a tomato. He could not believe Sasuke just winked at him. What was he thinking? Could Naruto really be getting through to him? As he peeked up from his arms he saw the raven's eyes on him. The blonde could literally feel his face fill with blood. The raven of course just smirked and let out a breathy chuckle. Slamming his head back down on the desk, the blonde didn't know what to do. He couldn't look at him. Not without blushing. Not after he winked at him. Sasuke winked at him. What was that supposed to mean? Was he being suggestive? Or was this just a friendly thing? Like an acknowledgement? Shaking his head in his arms, the blonde heard the bell and bolt out of the classroom. He didn't even take any of his stuff with him, but that didn't matter. He was practically having a panic attack. Naruto decided to move on with the list. It had been 2 days of staring at Sasuke and making eye contact, and he believed that that was enough. It had nothing to do with the fact that Sasuke winked at him and now he couldn't look him in the eye without his whole face turning red as a tomato. But then again, Sasuke loved tomatoes, so maybe that wasn't such a bad thing. No, he was moving on. As he made his way to the school, he made sure to watch where he was going this time. He spotted Sasuke walking with Kiba and Shikamaru. "Hey," Kiba greeted him. "Didn't trip on the curb this time?" "Nope, I learned my lesson." Naruto laughed as he joined them. "Well, that would be a first," Sasuke joked. The blonde just shrugged and laughed. This step was so easy. He usually laughed a lot anyway. As Sasuke sat in his first class, he couldn't decide on what was happening. Naruto seemed to be back to his usual self. As they had walked to their classes, the blonde barely looked at him. Maybe he was wrong. Maybe the wink scared him off. Or he's too embarrassed now. Maybe he should have been more subtle about it. "Sasuke." Sakura broke his concentration. "What do you want?" The raven glared at her. He was getting real tired of playing nice. "We're supposed to work in groups on the questions." The pink-haired smiled at him. "So what's up? You seem to be worried about something." "None of your business." The raven got out his textbook and turned to the appropriate page and got to work. "You can copy if you want." By the time study hall rolled by, Sasuke was pretty sure Naruto felt awkward around him. No matter what he would do or say, he would constantly just laugh. It was aggravating. I mean, sure, the blonde was usually all smiles, but this was just too much. Something had to be wrong. Taking out a piece of paper, he started a note for the blonde sitting next to him. A text would have probably been better, but Ibiki had strict rules against phones. Naruto jumped a fraction when he felt a paper nudge his hand. Looking at the paper, he read, "What is up with you today?" Looking at the raven sitting next to him, the blonde just smiled and shrugged. Sasuke was not happy with this answer and started writing again. "Is this about yesterday?" When the blonde saw the note, he just had a little laugh. This was bad. Did Naruto really feel that awkward from the wink? Did he really screw up that bad? If he did, like Sasuke, then he would have perceived that wink as a chance to move forward, not back. This whole ordeal was giving Sasuke a headache. He was even thinking about avoiding the blonde for the rest of the day. Maybe that was it. He just needed to give Naruto some space to deal with the whole situation, and then when he was ready, he'd make a move. As study hall ended, Sasuke left the classroom and tried to minimize the interaction he had with the blonde for the rest of the day. Maybe this second step wasn't the best thing. Or maybe he just wasn't doing it right. Sasuke just didn't seem to like it. He was even getting suspicious. Instead of a step forward, laughing felt like a step back. Sighing, the blonde decided to take a shower and clear his head. Just as he finished up wrapping a towel around his waist and getting the first aid kit to re-bandage his wounds, his phone rang in the other room. Sasuke. He ran into his bedroom and jumped on the bed, grabbing his phone and answering. "Hello? Hey, it's me." Kiba's voice rang out. Naruto groaned. Not just from the fact it wasn't Sasuke, but also because he managed to open up nearly all of his wounds by jumping on the bed. "Can I call you back? I'm bleeding all over the place." "Can I come over?" "Sure." By the time the blonde was finished bandaging up his now reopened wounds, Kiba was banging at the door. "It's open," Naruto yelled, not wanting to get up. He kind of made the bandages too tight and couldn't really move without it looking awkward and being very painful. When Kiba walked into his room, he paused as he took in the blood that covered the blonde's bed. "Dude, what happened? Is it your time of the month?" "Ha. Ha. Shut up." The blonde would have punched him, if moving his arms didn't hurt so much. So, Kiba picked the least bloody part of the bed to sit on. "What's with you? 'Cause yesterday you were like a creeper on Sasuke and today it's like." "It's just an experiment." Naruto blurted out. "An experiment?" "Yeah." The blonde cleared his throat, trying to think of what to say. "Yeah. On Sasuke, it has to do with, you see, that list." "Yes. That list. Naruto looked to where Kiba's eyes were drawn to see the list he taped to his wall. Actually no. Not that list. Another list Will you give it up? Kiba stood and went to investigate the paper. Naruto groaned standing up and did his best to get in the brunette's way. 10 ways to make him your boyfriend? Oh. This is one of those articles, right? The blonde pouted but nodded and Kiba burst out laughing. What's so funny? No, it's just, you took me seriously. Dude, I was kidding. Yeah, well, it's working. Okay. Kiba kept chuckling but looked at the list. This is kind of ridiculous. Why don't you just confess to him? I want to try this and then confess. This way I'll know I've tried everything to make him like me. The blonde nodded to himself, as if he was the one that needed convincing. But Sasuke already likes you. No, I mean like Kiba. Naruto. I'm pretty sure he does like you. Naruto gave Kiba a look. Okay, so if I was to message him right now that I like him as more than a friend and would like to go out with him, you're 100% sure he'd say yes? The brunette hesitated. Okay, maybe not 100 but like, 95? That's not 100. Okay, fine. Kiba threw his arms up in frustration. Do these steps, confess to him and then watch as he tells you all you had to do was tell him from the beginning. But no, by all means Naruto, maim yourself doing these steps. This wasn't the list's fault. The blonde grabbed his wounds defensively. Sasuke winked at me yesterday. Then why haven't you confessed? Because I'm going with the list. Screw the list. Naruto gasped. How could you? They both stopped for a moment to breath. This was getting ridiculous. Kiba sighed. Okay, look, I'm sorry. I know this isn't easy. I haven't been able to confess to Hinata, so I shouldn't be so hard on you for following a list to get Sasuke. Especially when I was the one that suggested it. Thank you. And I will confess to him. I just want to try this list out first and see how it goes. Naruto smiled. Okay. Just a little tip though. The blonde nodded for Kiba to continue. Get it off your wall cause if Sasuke comes over. Which he probably will. You don't want him seeing that, right? A look of shock went over the blonde's face before he ripped the paper from the wall and tore it up. I have it typed up. The brunette chuckled before motioning to the first aid kit. Come on, I'll redo those. He nodded at Naruto's bandages. You look like you can barely stand. Having Kiba come over the previous day made the blonde all the more persistent. He had to stick to the list. This was going to work. As he approached his group of friends, grin in place, Sasuke suddenly excused himself. What happened? Kiba shrugged. Bathroom? Naruto sighed. He was still avoiding him. So, maybe sticking with he list wasn't the best thing, but it was all he had. As the classes progressed, the blonde tried to smile at Sasuke every chance he got in the halls, since they didn't have any of the first classes together. The raven continued to ignore him, and as lunch arrived Naruto was tired. He was tired of chasing Sasuke around the halls and being late for his classes. He was tired of Sakura always hanging over Sasuke's arm. He was tired of being ignored. But most of all he was tired of smiling. Seriously, who could smile this long? His cheeks felt like they might fall off. So as he looked at his lunch table and saw Kiba and Choji sitting across Sasuke, who was sandwiched between Ino and Sakura, he decided to play Sasuke's little game. If he didn't want him around, then fine, Naruto wouldn't be around. He saw Shikamaru enjoying a nap on one of the corner tables. He always preferred to be alone, but the blonde didn't care if he bugged him right now. Naruto sat down next to the brunette, who groaned and raised his head. Aren't you going to sit next to your boyfriend? He's not my boyfriend. Naruto glared at him. And no, I'm not. Shikamaru sighed. I guess I should ask why now, right? Because I'm tired of laughing and being ignored. I don't want to even smile anymore. The blonde took out his lunch and started eating. You can go back to sleep. I'll try to eat as quietly as I can. I would, but then I'd probably look like a jerk. The brunette yawned and stretched out his muscles. Besides, we have study hall next and I hear Kakashi's holding so. Naruto nodded. Do you want half my sandwich? He asked, noticing Shikamaru didn't have anything to eat. Lunch was almost over and the stupid Dobi still wasn't there. The raven bit his lip as he finished the last of his milk. He wanted to look around, check the perimeter, but then Naruto might notice. And he didn't want to make the idiot feel even more awkward. If you're looking for Naruto, he's over with Shika. Kiba paused his conversation with Choji to inform him. Sasuke's head spun around so quick he could have given himself whiplash. And sure enough, There was Naruto sitting and talking with Shikamaru and, were they sharing a sandwich? Why is he over there? Why were you ignoring him? I'm not. I'm just trying to give him some space. He's been acting weird around me. The blonde next to him scoffed. Naruto is always weird. Her and Sakura decided that was worthy of a giggle fit. Sasuke rolled his eye. You can't tell me you haven't noticed. He's been laughing like a maniac whenever he's near me. Kiba shrugged. Well, now he's not near you, so problem solved. Okay, but why is he with Shika? Shika and Naruto have gotten closer over the summer. Choji decided to inform them. How do you know that? Why? The Raven glared at the chubby boy. Shika told me he was helping Naruto with his summer school. And I think he said Naruto asked him to tutor him in some of his classes now. What, so now they're best buds? Well, Shika did say he slept over at Naruto's a couple of times. Choji shrugged. But then again, Shika sleeps over at everyone's house. Oh, so maybe that was the crush Naruto was talking about. Sakura blurted out, and the glare Sasuke gave her made her shiver. Well, it's not like they can get together. Shika totally has a thing going with Temari. Yeah, they're just spending time together and sharing a lunch. Kiba smirked at the Raven. There's no need to be so upset. I'm not upset. Sasuke ground out. Really, cause you sure look upset. Well, I'm not. No, maybe you're not. That's what I told you. No, you look more like you're jealous. Kiba's smirk widened as the Raven just glared at him but didn't deny it. He's not jealous. Ino was the first to jump up to Sasuke's defense. Yeah, that's so ridiculous. What are you even implying? Sakura looked like she was ready to pounce on the brunette. However, Kiba's eyes never left the Raven's. I'm implying that Sasuke likes Naruto and now he's jealous because Naruto's had enough of him and has found himself better company. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Sakura was now screaming. Oh yeah. The brunette's smirk turned into a smug grin. Then why isn't he denying it? Sakura froze for a second. Because he doesn't need to defend himself. We all already know that Sasuke isn't gay. Because if he were, then why would he have made out with me over the summer? The whole cafeteria was quiet. The Raven's eyes widened as he saw Kiba looking behind him at what could only be the source of the jealousy he had felt just moments ago. Naruto heard that. This wasn't happening. That whole kissing thing was just a mistake anyway. He'd been drunk. He wouldn't have even remembered that it had happened if his brother hadn't told him he had walked in on them. As he turned to try and explain everything to the blonde, all he saw was a grin. The stupid idiot was smiling at him. So, he didn't care. Maybe he was happy to hear it. Maybe now that he thought Sasuke was with Sakura he felt more comfortable. The Raven glared at the blonde before turning back to his table. Soon enough the room was back to the bustle it was before Sakura's outburst. Naruto just sat there, the grin plastered on his face. I thought you said you were tired of smiling. Shikamaru tried and failed to lighten the mood. The blonde gave a light chuckle. Yeah, I really am, but I'm afraid if I stop then I might cry. The brunette sighed. Go to the nurse's office. Tell her you have a stomachache, or something. She'll let you sit out the next period and then all you have to do is pretend to fall asleep and you can skip the rest of the day. Naruto actually laughed at that. Thanks. I'll see you tomorrow then. Nah, after study hall you'll probably see me at the nurse's office.